Good afternoon. Bit of a panel discussion to follow there. Hopefully I'll keep you all interested. I know this is a really hot topic around the UAE at the moment. It's on a lot of the agendas and we're discussing it quite a lot. I want to give you a very short sort of action plan to take away today, because I know it's very difficult if you're not in a HR position or a authority position to feel like you can change the policy. I'm going to tell you that it isn't impossible, and I'm going to tell you a personal story which involves colleagues and people that I was working with. So you've already seen me on the panel discussion. I'm going to tell you about the personal change, again, that I made within the organisation along with colleagues, and hopefully you'll be able to take some things away today to be able to take back with you to your own organisation. How many times have you heard this statement? The maternity policy is terrible, it's really poor, it's really bad, should I stay, should I go, what can I do about it? It might have been a friend or a colleague. We hear this time and time again in the UAE, and we're blaming the company. We might be blaming the legislation, and actually, whose job is it? You don't actually have to be a mum. You don't have to work in HR to take action. You could be a dad, a sister, a brother, a friend, anyone that's been affected in this room by the short 45-day maternity leave that applies to the private sector in the UAE. How can you do it if you're not in an authoritative position? You're not owning a policy. It's not your job to write the policy. The policy drives the company. That's what the policy says. I'm going to explain to you how me and a colleague and other people went about changing the policy to work for the people and not allow the policy to be set in stone. So, do your homework. Know your policy, your maternity policy inside out. Every single sentence, every word, how it's executed within the business. Make sure you are an expert in the current policy within your organisation before you do anything. Do the maths, because the maths is quite difficult. Claire and myself, we faced a big challenge around calculating the cost of maternity leave within the organisation. So how much has it cost the business so far? Go 3 years, 4 years back. How much have we spent as an organisation on maternity leave? Because it's difficult, because if you're only in the 45 days, the only thing that you've put in your timesheet, because a lot of consultancies work on job codes, timesheets, there's a maternity code, 123, and it's been put in the system, and it's 45 days as being booked. Anything beyond that has been booked as unpaid leave. So how do we know it's associated with the maternity leave? So calculate and try and work out an estimate of the maternity leave plus the unpaid leave, and the holidays that they've taken, beyond that, to get a true estimation of how much it's cost the organisation, because you're going to need to do a comparison between what it is going to cost your organisation to improve it. So look at the averages. If I were you, my maths is definitely not my forte. Ask somebody from finance to get involved in your team to start looking at those numbers and pulling them out of the system. You need to consider the benefits currently and look at comparisons. So you need to think about what is the benefit to the organisation for changing the policy. There might be zero cost benefit. Be prepared to say that in your proposal. There is no cash benefit or profit if you approve this policy. However, it could be that you have other benefits and you display them and you really put them in front of your board or your approvers and say, these are the benefits. They may not, give you extra money right now, but you really need to look at the benefits and again, do the research. What are the benefits to the organisation on improving the policy? And the same applies to even paternity. It's the same sequence of events generally. Have options. So we considered as a team, should we go in at 10 weeks? Or should we go in at 20 weeks? Should we go in at 5 weeks? If it's 45 calendar days now, paid, what shall we try and get? You know, what is the best position to be in? We considered going in at 10 weeks. We decided to go in at 14 weeks. But we did have options available to our board of directors to say, there is this option, and that option, and lay that out very clearly to your approvers. Present as a team. I didn't do it alone. Claire, who's in the audience today, she put her hand up. Claire did a lot of work to support us getting through that period, you know, gathering people together, the right experts into the team. You have to have the people driving who it matters to. So again, time and time again, even throughout my pregnancy, I was saying, oh, I really want the policy to change. I really want the policy. I wish the policy wasn't so short. I knew I had to drive it with others that were passionate about changing it. There's just, if you're not too bothered and you don't have the passion to change it, then it just will not come through in your proposal. Once you've accomplished the change, if the approvals are there and you get the yes, which I hope that you do, if the answer's yes, one lesson that me and Claire have learned along the way is that actually you need to check on the change, because maybe what we didn't plan for is the execution of the new policy. So HR helped us, finance helped us, we were all going in as a team, we got the approval, it was a great day for us as a team to get that approval, but we didn't quite check on it after. So the execution of it, do the line managers understand the change? Are they encouraging and saying, oh, you know, you get the keeping in touch days now, and get in touch with us when you've had your baby, and we'll, you know, bring you back to work using our new policy. We didn't check on the change being executed. So again, that's something that was picked up later, and again, we revisited that, and I know there's a lot of work going on now to make sure the execution of that change, you know, you can't just leave HR, you were the one driving it, see it through, make sure it gets executed, you know, remain in touch with that team to make sure that they've got the help that they need, because there's a lot of things that happen when you change, and even as a team, me and Claire never knew wage protection schemes and this labour law, and this impacts that, and that happens, and labour law says this, and it's all the ins and outs. That's why you need a HR, finance, you, the driver, and you need all those people to help you to get the proposal through. Neither me or Claire work in a HR role. We never have. We've never worked in HR. We've never I've written quality policies, but never written a HR policy or a sort of staff policy. This is quite interesting. Never knew this before we actually started doing the proposal. The International Labour Organisation Maternity Protection Convention, bit of a mouthful, recommends that employers provide 14 weeks maternity leave. Use that statement. Use that statement in your proposal. Because again, it's looking at what the recommendations are and how we can get the right message so that the business can make the right decision. And it may be that, you know, it's not the right time for the business. We need to understand what's the current situation within the business. You know, Joe talked about being a business owner. You know, do we know how much it's going to cost, and how many projects have we got live, and how, you know, are we making redundancies? You know, you have to make sure you understand what's going on in the business at the time. And if it's no, that doesn't mean the end of it. It doesn't mean the end of it. You can revisit it, keep the material. You know, there will be an explanation. That, you know, people are not going to say no to something that is helping the organisation and to retain the best talent, whether it's maternity and paternity. They might say, at the moment, we do not have the budget for that, Fiona, but that doesn't mean the end of it. It means that that can be revisited, and I'm sure that leaders within organisations will revisit that at another point in time. And my advice for you today is to not wait for that change to happen, because I've been in that position and I've thought, maybe before I have Erin, it's going to change. And I was waiting for HR to do it or somebody to make it better. I can only advise you today to not wait for that change. Try and make it happen within your organisation and try again. Really, really get the right people into your team. Get it to the approvers and really try and get the yes. And don't be defeated if it's a no right now, because, you know, we are trying to run large organisations and we have to understand that sometimes, you know, there are other priorities in the business. But please try, regardless of your position, you know, regardless of you know, anything that you feel is preventing you, there's nothing stopping you if it's important to you to try and drive that change. If anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you want to know any of the ins and outs of what we did, Claire is also a big part of this change that we made. So we're available if you want to ask us any questions about how we did it. Thank you.